Olá, pessoal. Sou a Manuela Barém, do BuzzFeed Brasil, e estou aqui para trazer o Scott Lamb, para apresentar o Scott Lamb, que é o vice-presidente internacional do BuzzFeed.
Obrigado, Manu. Pessoal, vamos ouvir a história de empreendedorismo e inovação. Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Have you been to Brazil before?
Just once, about 6 months ago, when I first met Manu to interview her for BuzzFeed.
And what do you know about Brazil is what goes on BuzzFeed?
It is my main source for news about Brazil, that and emailing Manu if I have questions about things. But yeah, I feel like I've learned a lot about Brazil in the last 6 months.
Where do you live originally?
Originally, I'm from Colorado, but I live in Los Angeles now. I lived in New York for many years, which is where BuzzFeed started, and I've been living in LA for about a year.
How old, or well, how many years has BuzzFeed been running?
So BuzzFeed was founded in 2006. So it's been around for, I think, a much longer time than most people realize.
Did it came out of a business plan, or it's like just evolved organically?
It evolved very organically. Originally, there wasn't much of a business plan. We didn't start making money really until 2010, 2011. So the site really came from Jonah Peretti. He's our founder and CEO, and he also founded the Huffington Post. So he was working at Huffington Post, and he liked what was happening there, but he missed doing little viral experiments. That's where he came from. He did a project in the States with Nike shoes. So you used to be able to get any word you wanted put on a Nike sneaker, and he tried to get the word sweatshop written on the sneaker, and Nike was like, no, and they had this whole back and forth over email, and then that email chain went viral. And Jonah was like, oh, this is really interesting. Viral media is interesting. So he's always had an interest in that. And originally BuzzFeed was like a laboratory for viral experiments. And that's how it started, and now has grown into something, I think, much larger than that.
I would imagine people didn't even use the word viral back then.
No, I think that was, and I try not to use it very much now because it's a terrible word. But no, I think it was sort of before that notion of things going viral had even really started.
What's your pitch when you want to present BuzzFeed? What is BuzzFeed?
So the pitch that we have now is that BuzzFeed is a social news and entertainment media company. So we do all forms of media. We have reporters who write about the news. We have people who make funny memes. We have people who make videos. But our focus is on creating things that people will share. That's the main pitch.
All right, it's not finding ways for our brands to engage with people.
No, I mean that is a part of how we make money now. But really, even more than finding ways for brands to engage with people, we create content for brands. So we're really good at knowing what people are going to share, knowing what's going to go viral. And we have a creative agency inside of BuzzFeed that does that for the partners that we work with, that does it for Coca-Cola or GE or whoever.
How many people work for BuzzFeed?
We're over 500 now.
In how many countries?
In 6 different countries. Yeah.
Did the company take any sort of venture capital?
Yes, we've taken, I think, 3 or 4 rounds of funding now. So initially it was all venture backed, which is kind of unusual for a media company. That just doesn't happen very often. So that's why we were able, though, not to make money for a while and try and figure out what we were going to do. The last round that we took, I think, was about 2 years ago, 18 months ago. We are a profitable company as well. We make revenue from doing advertising, but we were fortunate to have a long time that we could just be like a real startup, where we were like, there's something here, there's some interesting idea around viral media. Let's take time and figure out what it is.
You guys are sort of, how can I say, many people are suffering because it's been tough for old media, traditional media. So it's really amazing that young companies become a media powerhouse out of the internet, so to say. Do you have like internal discussions about what's the future of making money on the web, the future of paid content. Where do you think this is all going?
I mean, our conversations about the future are not very far down the road. We tend to be pretty focused on what we're doing. Um, so we pay attention to trends like the rise of WhatsApp. Like, what is that going to mean for media companies? How are publishers going to get content onto WhatsApp? Are people sharing content on WhatsApp in the way they share it on Facebook, or is it totally different?
Does the company share news or entertainment pieces on WhatsApp or on Snapchat?
Not on Snapchat. We're just starting to on WhatsApp. We're trying to figure out how that's going to work. But for us, the future is often, all right, what platform is growing, and should we go to that? It is a difficult time for a lot of older media publications, for legacy media publications, and they're in a very tough spot because we only have to figure out one business model, which is how to make money online, where they're still trying to figure out how to continue making money with their existing print product and make money online. And that's, as a company, that's two totally different business models based on the same product. That's very complicated. So I think any new digital publication does have that slight advantage that they can be more focused. We have zero interest in going into print. We're not going to start a TV station or radio station where we like digital media. We're going to stay there. I do think that there are going to be a lot of different models. So BuzzFeed is free. It's all advertising. But looking at some other publishers, they may charge for content. It may be subscription based. It may be crowd-funded. I think on the web there's going to be a whole host of different possibilities for media companies.
And talking about startups and trying out, having to find a business model, do you think? Okay. Many people talk about learning from mistakes. Do you remember something that you had a strong belief, but it didn't happen?
That when I was writing a lot for the site, that would happen to me all the time, where I'd be like, "Oh man, this post is going to be mega viral. It's going to be huge," and then it would just be like no one would care. And then something that I thought was like really stupid or boring, I would just throw up, and then suddenly it would blow up. So we learned that lesson all the time. I think as a company, one of the things that we tried out that didn't work that well is we thought for a little while we would be more like Reddit or Dig. Where it would be mostly community driven, and it never really took off. We sort of built the tools for that. I think now our community is bigger than ever, and we've started reinvesting and trying to grow it. But doing a big community site like Reddit is really hard. It has to happen organically in the community. You can't force that. And we tried for a little while and then sort of shifted, and we're like, no, we're going to hire editors and writers and reporters and kind of go that direction.
So you don't do collaborative content, so to say. I cannot go there and request login and start blogging.
You can. We never got rid of that part of BuzzFeed, but we were like, maybe this will be the future and this is going to grow. And it always stayed pretty small. It's still valuable to us. We like that anyone can sign up for an account on BuzzFeed and make content. And sometimes we hire people from the community to come and work at BuzzFeed. But it just never became a very big part of the business. And that was, I wouldn't say that was a mistake, but we tried that out. It didn't work, and we moved on to something else.
That's interesting. And do you have something like an incubation program, acceleration program, open innovation program where, I don't know, you would pick upcoming apps or something into BuzzFeed?
It's really, it's kind of a part of our main structure. It's not like there's a separate group right now that works on that. All of the sort of management team on the editorial side, that's what we're obsessed with. So when we saw WhatsApp starting to take off, we're like, and on the development side too, we're like, how can we integrate this onto BuzzFeed? How can we start thinking about that? So I think my sort of feeling is that for making media online on the web, that has to be a basic part of how a media company operates. I think it's a very old school media to be like, oh, we'll have a separate company that will be focused on innovation. Like, innovation has to be everyone's daily job.
So you don't necessarily need to go knocking on someone else's door and suggest a new sort of integration. You just do it by yourself. And how many people read BuzzFeed?
So right now we're at over 150 million uniques a month, and that's globally. So that's all of our traffic, which is still huge. I mean, it blows my mind that that's how many people read BuzzFeed. Obviously, I'm really excited about it, but it's a huge number, and it's been growing a lot over the last year.
Why Brazil then?
Brazil was kind of an obsession that I had. I mean, I've been working on the web for years and curating stuff, and there were often a lot of really interesting memes and videos that would come out of Brazil. I would go to the YouTube Trends page and look at the videos that were popular in Brazil, and they always were like so mind-blowing. But I think there's something about the sensibility of BuzzFeed and sort of the Brazilian sense of humor, especially online, that are they're very similar. So we thought, BuzzFeed can probably do well here. On the more sort of, platform side, Facebook is so popular here. It's a very social culture. People share a lot. So we had a good sense that BuzzFeed's approach would work here, and I think it's doing really well.
One final question, if I may. Is Brazil your second biggest user base, reader base?
No, right now the UK is our second biggest reader base, which makes sense. There's no language barrier. It was the first international place that we went. We opened an office in London in March of last year. So that makes sense. I feel like the potential for Brazil is huge because the population is massive. There's so many people online. We'll see. Right now, Brazil and Australia are sort of competing for their slot in BuzzFeed's overall traffic. We'll see how it goes.
We're together on third position.
They're looking at sort of third and fourth. Canada is also really big for us, as you would also expect.
Well, thank you, Scott. Have a good time in Brazil.
Thank you very much.